Talk about paying off in the end. What's up, Universe, and welcome back to the web's first must-see comic and nerd culture show. Welcome to Comic Universe, guys. I'm your host, as always, C-Dubbs. And, guys, today we are still continuing the 31-day Halloween horror movie challenge. And today, review number 10. And, guys, review number 10 is a special one. It's an absolutely fantastic film. And I personally borderline want to call this a masterpiece, to be honest. Because, in my mind, I am not a Western guy. I don't like Westerns. I'm not a big fan of them. And regardless of how sacrilegious they are, I'm not even a big fan of like the likes of Tombstone or Unforgiven. I'm not even a big fan of Red Dead Redemption. I've tried many, many times to get into it. It can't captivate my attention. And for a Western to hold my attention, especially with such a slow burn, but with such an amazing payoff in the end, you got to be doing something right to hold my attention in a Western. And Bone Tomahawk, let me tell you, today's film review, I cannot gloat enough about this film. It is one of my all-time favorite horror movies. And in all honesty, the horror is really just the beginning and the end, and everything in the middle has really nothing to do with horror. Okay? But, man, this movie blew my mind. I didn't realize how much I wanted this type of a movie. I will see any spin-off, sequel, prequel to this film, and I doubt it'll be as good, but I am in for the long haul based off of how good this movie was. Now, if you've never heard of it, it's quite alright. It was a limited release back in 2015. The director is S. Craig Sagler. He is also the writer and director. He used to be a novelist prior to getting into movies, and this was his kind of big bang, if you will, right out the gate. This movie is starring the amazing Kurt Russell, Patrick Wilson, Matthew Fox, Richard Jenkins. We got two cameos, one a little bigger than the other. We have Sid Haig, and David Arquette, and rounding off the cast is Lily Simpson. And this movie is a Western horror movie, as if you haven't already figured that out. Takes place back in the early 1890s, if you will. Cowboy and Indian days, if you will. Native Americans, again, just for the sake of this video, if I do say Indian, I don't mean any disrespect. Or if I say the word savage, or savages, I don't mean any disrespect to our Native American families or brethren. My wife has Native American heritage in her. So again, I mean nothing by it. It's just for the sake of this movie and how they were treated and or called upon or referred to as in this film. So moving forward, this movie, again, we start off with Patrick Wilson's character. We get to know him right off the bat. Well, no, let me backtrack. This movie starts off with a bang. You kind of get to see what we're in store for, how dangerous it is. We got Sid Haig and David Arquette. Basically, they are a bunch of criminals, if they will. They just kind of rob people in their sleep out in the western wilderness, if you will. Rob them, get rid of the bodies, desecrate their bodies. They kind of, while they're robbing, they murdered somebody and a couple of guys, and one of them wasn't fully dead yet, so he was about to shoot David Arquette's character. Sid Haig had to jump on him, kill him, and there was a shot fired. This alerted other people when they were coming towards them, so they had to go into hiding, essentially just crossing over an Indian burial ground. Now, these Indians are not your typical Indians, and we'll get more into them here in a moment. They release a really savage sound. It kind of sounds like howling, if you will. And next thing you know, Sid is dead and David Arquette is on the run. We kind of fast forward a couple of days and David Arquette kind of strolls into this town, just kind of, all shaken up. And Kurt Russell, who is the sheriff, is basically alerted by his deputy, who's played by Richard Jenkins. And they kind of go into the bar, the saloon, confront him. They realize he's probably up to no good as David Arquette's character tries to run away, gets shot in the leg, and they now need the town nurse or doctor, if you will, to take care of him, take the bullet out of his leg, even though he's probably going to get hanged. And this is where we kind of are introduced into Lily's character and Patrick Wilson's character. We realize that Patrick Wilson's character is kind of injured. He was up on the roof doing some work just before a storm fell, broke his tibia, if you will, kind of ripped through his leg. And he's kind of she's nursing him back to health, if you will. So essentially what happens is, due to David Arquette's character kind of crossing over the burial ground and disturbing it, desecrating the land, if you will, these savages, okay, as they're referred to, decide to storm the town. And they end up killing a few people, stealing a few horses, as well as, now that David Arquette's character needs medical attention, they come and they take her from her home. They ask her to come and see the patient. They come and she's everyone is at the jailhouse, if you will. And Kurt Russell goes to bed, says, he leaves one of his deputies there, not Richard Jenkins' character, but another deputy, and her to attend to Arquette's injuries, if you will. And they basically call it a night. And while the savages are attacking the town, they kill a few people, steal a few horses, like I said. They actually invade the jailhouse, and they end up kidnapping David Arquette's character, Lily, and the other deputy, who is really not important to the story whatsoever. So essentially, they're kidnapped, and now this all turns into Kurt Russell, again, who is the sheriff of the town, putting together a band of men, and, Richard Jenkins, again, with the deputy, he being the executive deputy, he kind of joins along with him. Matthew Fox joins the band, and Patrick Wilson, even though he's got a broken leg, is kind of joining them. And this turns into somewhat of your traditional Western, where you start to really get to know the characters, who they are inside and out, and it turns into somewhat of a survival of the wilderness, if you will, type of a movie. And this is where the slow burn kind of starts, because it isn't only in the beginning and the end do we really get to see what the savages are, if you will, the Indians. They bring in a specialist who is a Native American himself to ask, what type of Indians are we dealing with? Who are they? Are they savages? Are they more classy? Like, what's going on? And he examines the arrow that was used, and he's like, there's only one type of tribe that uses this type of arrow, which is kind of partially made of bone. And he calls them troglodytes. Okay, these are savages beyond savage. These are inbred, cannibalistic. They don't even have a language. That's how backwoods they are. But again, this howl that they do release, it seems as if maybe when they are born, there's some sort of surgery that they perform, placing in these, it kind of looks like a flute, if you will, like Pan, the half goat, half man type of flute, but it's smaller. It definitely looks like it's like made out of reed or wood, and it's installed in their throat, so when they whistle or when they yell, it releases this really, really, really creepy sound, if you will. And that sound, as you guys heard, is just absolutely terrifying, especially like in the dead of night. And as the band of Pete guys are getting closer to the tribe, if you will, that's when the murder and the terror comes in, and the survival. Now these guys, man, they do these troglodytes, man. They are big, they're brutish. They just kind of come at you, arrows flying, jawbones of cattle just turned into weapons, into hatchets, into bone tomahawks, if you will, and they're just slaughtering these guys one by one. And of course, Patrick Wilson's character with his broken tibia, it's getting infected. He can't go on. He seems to be left behind. And it's just absolutely terrorizing what happens to these guys once some of them are captured, and the way some of them are killed. It is a little borderline gruesome. One kill in particular, the deputy that I stated that really has no relevance to the story. We get to see his death. They do show him getting scalped and then essentially ripped in half, but from bottom to top, if you will, like literally chopped and then, and as you guys could see, it's just absolutely like gruesome. It's not like Hostel or Saw. It's not too overly gross. It's like quick shots, you see it happening, and it's cringeworthy because you can just imagine the pain, and then it's like, all right, we're moving on to the next scene. So it's not really focused on or turned into torture porn or anything like that. And I think as classy as you can do gore, I think it is done in a classy way. And just, you also get to see a glimpse of the few females troglodytes and how they treat them. They're just basically pregnant, laid up on a stretcher, not a stretcher, but like rocks, if you will, with freaking bone daggers in their eyes so they can't see anything. And it's just absolutely terrifying. And they're all like grayed out, as you guys can see. And it's just unnerving that this movie just kind of comes out of nowhere. And it's not, you don't expect it. And I heard a few good things about it. And I was just like, you know what? I'm trying to see every kind of big movie. This was a few years back. I really wanted to see. I challenged myself to see every big movie that came out this year, and this was like, in terms of big movie, it was like one of those smaller movies, indie films that got a lot of attention, a lot of praise, won a few awards and things of that nature, and at film festivals. And I was like, well, I've seen all the big major blockbusters. Let me check this one out, and. At first I thought I was gonna have to force my way through it, but how it started, and I saw the whistle and the howl, and I was just like intrigued from the beginning. It allowed me to get through the slow burns, but those slow burns actually turned into really great character development, which not a lot of movies spend the time in doing. So guys, I issue a challenge, guys. Go and check this movie out. Put this on your list. 31-day Halloween horror movie challenge. I would say this is a must. Regardless of how scary it actually is or not, to you personally, but it is great. All the acting is top freaking notch. Kurt Russell, amazing as always. Patrick Wilson, amazing as always. Matthew Fox, probably his best role since Lost. He hasn't done much, I guess. But no, really, guys, it is really cool. And just the quick cameo of Sid is pretty cool. And these are unique. It's a unique monster movie, even though they're not really monsters, if you will. So again, guys, check it out. Let me know in the comments below if you've seen it. Please, let's talk about it, because I know if you actually gave it a full, from beginning to end, you have to have some sort of appreciation for some of this movie. Even if you couldn't get through it all, you didn't like it all, the slow burns were tough for you, I know you have to have some sort of appreciation for the ending, or the beginning and the end. So, guys, let us know in the comments below. We're continuing this challenge. Hope you guys are too. This is day number 10. And, guys, until next time, I'm C-Dubbs. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe on these videos, guys. And I'll see you in the universe. Peace.